Sunday, Pint of Comics, WESUFM.org. You're here with the Pint of Comics, Sir John and Johnny Ganache, and we are here once again for, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time with our special guest. Third time. Is this third time?
Third time.
The Caprilozzi, I said it right. Rob and Christine from HorrorNewsNetwork.net.
Hello.
What's going on?
Welcome back. How are you? Thank you for having us.
So we've had you guys on a couple times now, and geez, there's so much stuff to go over what exactly you do. So you guys run HorrorNewsNetwork.net, which is a horror news website. I go there all the time on my lunch break. I enjoy reading the stuff. Find out newest movies coming out, DVD releases, interviews, all that good stuff. You guys also annually host Connecticut Horrorfest.
That is true.
Right. And now you've got two more things we're going to add to it, and we'll talk about all of this, is that you have a movie coming out, Halloween in a Box, correct? That's the title?
That's right.
Halloween in a Box. That's going to be coming out pretty soon. And you're also going to be doing something in October called Spooky October.
Yes.
So let's start with Spooky October and then move into Halloween in a Box. What exactly is Spooky October?
Okay, it's a series. It's a series of events in Connecticut to celebrate October, which is obviously our favorite time of year. So we thought we would do stuff every single weekend, and it's also going to be at the Naugatuck Event Center. Just a bunch of smaller events, Q&As.
Stay closer to the mic, Christine.
Sorry.
No, okay, yeah. I just got a text saying you were a little low, so I want to make sure.
Don't wander away from the mic.
No, I feel like I'm singing "We Are the World." Do you guys remember that video?
There's a time,
Yeah,
and I don't
exactly.
know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, I remember it.
I remember the one on The Simpsons.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're sending our love down the well.
It was Sting, yeah.
So anyway, it's a series of events, everything from panels on, like we're having a paranormal panel, we're doing the legacy of the Connecticut witch trials, which did happen before Salem, a UFO night, we're having a horror trivia night, which is going to be hosted by Larry Dwyer. We're also having we're calling it an arts and crafts show, a Halloween arts and crafts show, but it's really kind of a horror artist gallery, artists and artisans gallery. And we're also premiering Halloween in a Box, which has kind of been Rob's pet project for the last 4 years.
Yeah,
right.
We're excited. We're really, with Horrorfest being one day a year, we wanted to, we kind of wanted to bring more of a community vibe for the month of October. So this is something that, we're trying out. We think it'll do pretty well in terms of being interesting to people. And, with all the different things that we added, like paranormal and UFOs and witches. And so we think it's going to kind of run the gamut of kind of scary stuff. And that's kind of why we named it Spooky October.
Right. And it truly is, because the events go from the 4th all the way through pretty much the end of the month, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So you're covering, just about every weekend, you said? You're going to be doing multiple?
Weekend.
It is every weekend.
Yeah, and we're actually doing something with the Borough of Naugatuck where we're coinciding with their trunk or treat, so we're doing kind of a kids event that night, too.
That's awesome.
So-
That's awesome.
It's a busy month for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm already exhausted.
Yeah, are you toast from all the planning? Because, Connecticut Horrorfest is a one-day show. It's a great one-day show. We sponsored it last year. We sponsored it again this year. We love that show. But obviously, we've talked to you about it before. It takes a lot out of you guys, planning it, getting, the talent to come in. So why don't you tell everybody real quick, because that's also in the Naugatuck. What is
Yes.
the Naugatuck Event Center? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's September 14th. That is a Saturday. Who do you got coming? And give us the whole rundown of the day.
Connecticut Horrorfest. I'm not the one who does the commercial. But
I pretty much noticed, because I've heard the commercial, and you did a decent imitation, but
Yeah, so we're excited this year. This year we're bringing in some heavy hitters from the Saw franchise. We have Jigsaw himself, Tobin Bell, and we have Shawnee Smith and also Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah, and from we're having a little Hellraiser Cenobite reunion with Doug Bradley, and then the Cenobites, Simon Bamford, Nicholas Vince, Barbie Wilde. Also from Halloween, we're having Danielle Harris, who was in 4 and 5, and also in Rob Zombie's Halloween, and Don Shanks, who was he in 4 or 5?
5.
5. Quinn Lord from Trick or Treat, David Naughton from American Werewolf in London.
David Norton!
making it.
He's making it. Don't make me pull out the song because I've been singing it for the last.
Do you think people are going to bring Dr. Pepper cans for him to sign? Is that a thing? Do you think?
Wow. I hope not.
I know. We're also having,
Does he get upset about that?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. Someone will have to bring something.
he is from Connecticut.
Now, did somebody
That's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did somebody say he released an album? Or I saw somewhere.
No, he did, because he actually starred in a very short-lived sitcom on ABC in the late 70s called Making It. And he sang the theme song. It's very disco.
Wow.
It's very disco.
Should have done this ahead of time. I would have done.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
you know.
do you have the?
I don't know how to.
I think I favorited it here on my phone.
I wouldn't try and do it.
Yeah,
now.
I don't know if I can find it on here or not. But yeah, so Making It, David Naughton, American Werewolf in London, though. I mean, that's a fan. I think Rob, we've talked about this before. You're a Howling guy, though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you lie to him about it when you signed him up? Or were you like, that is absolutely my favorite?
I think that's going to be a conversation we're going to have the day of.
Yeah, you're just gonna wait, and he's gonna be like,
Yeah.
well, obviously you had me here because it's your favorite.
Right.
Yeah. It's got a good chorus, though. Wait till it gets to the chorus.
Wow. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is up with the
You
70s?
should have had some camera work on that.
The camera's on. It got her. It got her doing that. Yeah. The radio wrap up when this comes out is gonna be pretty interesting when it catches you doing your David Naughton Making It dance.
That's awful. I don't have good dance skills.
So this
Sorry.
is this the 5th year or 6th
is
year?
It's year 666.
666, correct. Okay.
And how many locations have you had up till now?
This is going to be our
fourth.
Yeah.
Looking to stay here for a while?
Yeah, we hope
Yeah.
to. You know, with the arena that we were at, had you know, it's good and bad. You know, one of the bad things was unfortunately it's on an ice rink.
Yeah.
So
The floor.
Which
yeah.
I personally liked it. We got in there. I was like, oh, it's so beautifully temperature controlled in here.
Yeah, that's. I know Larry's a big fan of the. He runs warm, so he's a big fan of.
Yeah, that's true.
Saying Larry runs warm is such an understatement.
He's a walking furnace.
Yeah.
So, but
When he
yeah,
comes on the show, does he bring the rag?
Yes.
We actually did a series of podcasts about a month ago, and it was that Saturday that was like the hottest night of the summer. And I said, Larry, you don't have to do it. He's like, no, I want to do it. And we can't use the AC because it'll just drown out the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So we did use a fan, but he literally opened up his book bag and it looked like he robbed a Holiday Inn closet. He had all these really white sweat rags, and he ended up handing them out to us as we recorded.
we needed 'em.
because we all needed them. It was so gross that night. But yeah, Larry runs hot.
It's a lot of male bonding.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
white. Whoever does the laundry.
His wife, he said his wife did it, and I commended her because man, they smelled great.
Yeah.
I mean, these are rags that are not meant, when they're doing bad things. They're sweat rags.
And the listeners go wild.
We should have a panel on that at Horrorfest.
man.
There you go. You should
Talking
have.
sweat
You
rags.
should give Larry a little booth and have him sign his sweat rags. And actually, Lou had actually made a comment that night when we were recording. He said that Larry's missing an opportunity to make CT Cult Classic sweat rags
There you go.
and sell them at the shows.
Well,
Yeah.
just imagine like the people that played the Cenobites with all the leather and all the makeup that they had to wear. They were most likely sweating very
Yeah.
heavily in
Yeah.
those. So
Yeah, that couldn't have been comfortable. None of that stuff looked comfortable at all.
I don't think Doug Bradley minded too much. He did 6 movies?
Yeah.
Seven.
Seven.
Wow.
Seven. And I think a couple of years ago at some convention out in the Midwest, he actually did full makeup, but Savini was
wow.
with him. So it wasn't like, how celebrities sometimes they'll do just like the photo op and they'll do their own makeup.
Right.
He did it one time, and Savini went with him and did the full
Wow.
garb. So it was really the real deal when you went. Like
that's
was.
pretty awesome.
We actually asked about that, and they're like, it's kind of. I think it was a one time only because I think the
It's a
stuff is
lot.
still it's in storage
Yeah.
because it's a whole. Yeah,
Did Savini do the makeup for the actual movie, or was it just that he did it for him for that?
I think he did it for him for that.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
kind of
I
I was
thing.
gonna say I
They're
never had
buddies.
heard that. That's pretty
Right.
interesting.
They're buddies.
Yeah.
Horror buddies.
Hanging out.
So you mentioned someone real quick a second ago, and you guys are gonna know obviously, and I don't. You said Sean Patrick Flannery.
yes.
What is he known in the horror community for?
He was in Saw 3D.
Okay.
Also
Yeah.
in Dexter.
That's right.
Most people know him. He was in Young Indiana Jones.
That's what I know him from in the Boondock Saints,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, he
Saints.
did the Dead Zone TV show for a long period of time.
No, that was right. He was the crazy guy.
Well, he was the one that was running for president.
Yeah, he was the Martin Sheen from the movie.
Mr.
Yeah.
President.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he was in Powder.
That's right. He was the main kid there.
I never saw Powder.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I
a
think
weird movie.
Yeah.
I think Sean Patrick Finley just won a daytime Emmy.
Really?
Did he
I
really?
think he's been on a soap opera recently. That's what somebody told
Hey,
me.
gotta
Oh,
get to
good for
work.
him.
Wow.
Good for him. That's
Get to
awesome.
work.
So are you guys, are you like, we're less than a month away. We're only a few weeks away, actually, at this point. Does it get to the point for you guys where it's like super because like okay, so you're obviously married. I got married. Like my wedding was like for me garbage. I love my wife, but I didn't get to eat the food. Everybody had a great time, right? I mean, did you experience that at your wedding where it was like it was a fun day, but everybody else really lived it, and you were just like in the midst of all that? By saying garbage, I don't mean garbage. I just mean like I didn't get to sit down. I didn't get to do this or that.
Our wedding was kind of small and tame. Yeah, so no, but it's funny because this year is actually our anniversary on September 14th, the day of the show.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
So I guess
That's a party for you.
The way I was trying to correspond it to that was like so like my wedding was like it's supposed to be this day about me, and it ends up being take pictures and do this and do that, and everybody's partying. Do you guys get to enjoy the show in any way, shape, or form, or is it like whatever 7 or 8 hours of putting fires out if there are fires, or having to take care of this, having to take care of that? Do you get like an hour or two where like maybe like you let
probably
like
the last hour.
oh okay
Like that's, like even right now, obviously we have day jobs. We all have day jobs. And
In this
like,
state? No.
Yeah, I know, right? I have two. So at this point, I'm even on the phone with the post office because Simon Bamford, his printing company, he's over in England, one of the Cenobites, his printing company instead of sending it to me, sent it to Simon Bamford at a different address.
Oh.
And they won't release the merch to me.
to you.
So like even like already we're still 3 weeks out already.
There's always something that comes up and you have to put out and there's a lot of behind the scene drama and everything that no one needs to know about, and it's just like it's fun though. The day is really fun, and we do it because
We love it.
yeah, I mean we love it. We just announced Lou David from The Burning that's coming. He played Cropsy in the movie. So
I read after I saw the announcement, I read about that. Harvey Weinstein wrote that, and I'd never heard of this thing, and I saw the post about it, and I was like, wow, this is like a pretty popular like early 80s slasher that some people say because it came out right before Friday the 13th,
right,
but it didn't catch on. But then I'm reading about it, and it was written by Weinstein, and it's got all this like kind of like this story behind it. And to a guy like me who's not as steeped in horror as you guys, never even heard of it.
and Larry actually showed it. What was it? 6 months ago, maybe? I can't recall.
It was maybe a year ago, but
Could have been.
Larry showed it. George Costanza was in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said that it was like two people, like Jason Alexander and someone else's first movie. Holly Hunter.
Okay.
It was their first movie. And I'm like, wow. And then they got into the Weinstein stuff, and I'm like, and it actually got into the fact that like a woman had sued him because he started his stuff with her on that movie. He was like 23 years old, and he was already doing some of his stuff. So, but like, it's amazing that you're getting someone from... Well,
Horror story all in itself.
His patterns aren't new, I guess is what you say. But yeah, I find that interesting, and so that must really drive a lot of like the real horror fans to come in, because you're getting someone who played this character that's beloved to them.
Yeah, it's exciting because there's there's the Jigsaws and there's the big names like that, but there's also the guys like Lou David from The Burning and I guess you could say maybe lower tier convention people like that, but those are people that you wouldn't see anywhere else, really.
I still think of Tobin Bell as being not a top level name to me anyway, because he's just a journeyman actor and he's a face that you'll recognize in everything.
Right.
But the Saw movies have really elevated him to a totally different level.
Yeah.
And here, I think that's where sometimes when we start planning and we get together with like our crew, and we're all of a certain age, and I was like, hey guys, let's stop and think about it, like, because we always have the big debate with Blair Witch, because some people hate it, some people love it, but for generations who are younger than us, Saw is their classic horror. Think about it.
Yeah.
Saw came out in 2005, 2003.
Anything after the 80s blends together.
It blends together after the new millennium. So that's their classic horror. People who are in their teens and their 20s right now. So the Saw movies were like, I had someone say to me, I'm so excited you got Jigsaw and Shawnee Smith. I mean, Saw is probably the greatest horror franchise of all times.
And you know what?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm like,
Just nod your head.
it's good, you know. I mean,
You know what else is cool? Speaking of that, what Christine said, when we build our thing, obviously there's, as Christine said, we're all around kind of the same age. A lot of us love 80s horror, which is obviously because where we're at, that's kind of what we grew up with. And I still think it's like the best, horror out there. But this year, we're bringing in kind of like a kind of almost like a newer horror. Like we have the Saw franchise coming out. We also have Sam from Trick or Treat, which has become like a cult classic now.
It is super popular, and
it's so weird.
I've got to be honest, without disparaging it, I watched it a few years ago, and me personally, because everybody was on that thing, and I think it was maybe a year after it came out, and I rented it, and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But like you said, that is a popular movie. People love that thing, and I do kind of get it. It's got that anthology vibe, like a creep show or something.
Right.
And I respect it, but I was just like, that's one of those movies that I'm really surprised how popular that thing has become.
I think it's kind of like released at a time where there wasn't a lot of like a lack of horror icons out there. Like when in the 80s, like we had, Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers, and even Leatherface came out again later in the 80s. And, but in that time, you maybe had like, I guess, Jigsaw, Ghostface, and...
I think this was before even Jigsaw, Trick or Treat, wasn't it?
After the 80s, I'm confused on time. Time blends together.
Once 1989 ended, Rob checked out.
And Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, that's right.
Made by the guy who made Powder, which that's a whole nother story we're not getting into. That's a whole nother story.
That's a bad story.
That's a Weinsteinish story in a different vein for sure. Do you get who do you get with friends and horror fans? Who is like the number one person that people want you to bring in? Who is the one that you get all the time, that whether it's realistic that it's ever going to happen, or just like people say to you the most, hey, this is, because I'm sure you get this all the time.
Kevin Bacon.
It's actually Jamie Lee Curtis. I can't tell you how many things you guys like, please bring in, or like, why didn't you guys bring in Jamie Lee Curtis or something like that?
When we did the Halloween reunion last year, well, where's Jamie Lee Curtis? I'm sorry.
And she didn't return my call.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little busy.
Yeah. It's not disparaging you, because your guest lineup was awesome last year.
Oh, it was
but
awesome.
like
Yeah,
when you're being realistic and you think about the supporting cast of Halloween and then Jamie Lee Curtis, I can imagine the difficulty levels of not only getting in contact, but then when she says, okay, this is what PJ Souls is willing to do, and this is what Jamie Lee Curtis wants. I can imagine it's a little bit of a disparity there.
But I also like some of these people that you're getting, in the case of like Tobin Bell, who's got a career outside of the horror industry. So you had Pam Grier last year, and she's got a long list of movies that she's been in.
She was awesome.
Yeah, so anybody can come to this, not just horror fans.
Right. Yeah. We would, of course, like them to be in one horror movie, even though it's not what they were known for, like Pam Grier and, Scream, Blackula Scream.
Right.
But, so, I mean, we're excited for this year. We can't wait, and we think it's going to be a good time. We think we have a really awesome lineup, and, it seems that every year we're trying to up our game, on who comes and who comes out. And just as long as, like, the fans coming have a good time, that's really all that matters to us. Of course, we want our team to have a good time, but we're trying to bring this experience. I mean, like any convention could just have like all the people from Walking Dead. You know what I mean? That's like, to me, that's not even really.
Have like $1 million.
Yeah, to me, that's not even like horror anymore. And what they kind of did to the convention scene, to me, is like really off-putting with all these people that have maybe been in 3 episodes of The Walking Dead, and they want to charge like $100 for an autograph. It's like, come on, it's
And that's where Rob and I talk about, like, when is the bubble going to burst on some of the fan fests? Because it's, like, we've been lucky. We have people who come to our event who are reasonable for what they're charging for picture and autograph. But you get someone charging $150 to $200 for literally a minute of their time.
Right.
Yeah.
And
no, thanks.
Me as a fan, I'm like, nah.
I mean, and it's tough. That's really what what we're kind of afraid of. Is you're getting to the point now, okay, like the bigger the names, the more these people want per autograph. And I know I wouldn't just dump $100 on someone to get their autograph if they weren't like I guess I mean, my list of people that give $100 to just for a minute of their time is like really thin. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the things of putting this together. We want it to be, I mean, horror fans are generally like, not millionaires and work a job. They don't have like a ton of disposable income. So when bringing these people in, we have to worry about our vendors. We have to worry about the other celebrities that come in. So we have to be very cautious of what people want to charge for an autograph at our event. Right. And although it's out of our control, it's it's a tough line to cross.
It's any fan fest convention that goes on. I mean, we're aware of it. I'm guessing all other people who throw these events are aware of it too. It's like, where do you kind of draw the line? Like, well, this person wants to do this, but they're going to charge $200 for it. That's rough. That's rough, because then you got to think about, all right, it's like we think about it's a pie chart. Yeah. There's only this much money. I mean, as people who live in the real world and we have jobs, I'm like, okay, so that one needs that amount of money to come out. You know how long it takes me to make that amount of money? Not one day.
Right, and like Rob said, you also are factoring in the fact that you got it's not just a celebrity show. You've got a ton of vendors.
And they're awesome vendors.
Awesome vendors, and you want to make sure people are walking in and not just going straight over to this person and spending $100 and then having no money to go over and buy a T-shirt from this guy or whatever.
And we have a lot of artists who vend with us too, so we want to make sure people get exposed to their artwork and see that. We have a bunch of authors, and I think this year we're actually having 2 separate celebrity areas. So
with the vendors in between, so to kind of
okay.
Like we used to do that when we were at the Matrix, and I think we did that our first year too. When we were, but when we went to the arena, there was no way logistically to do that. But now we're able to do that again, to have 2 separate areas, so people, can kind of walk through and experience the whole event.
Well, you could have had like Pam Grier and maybe Bill Moseley in the penalty box. Well, you want to talk to them? They're in the penalty box for 6 minutes right now.
They got a major for fighting.
Eye sticking from Pam Grier. I guess that's leads into a pretty decent question too. Is what is the vendor situation now that you're in a bigger place? Has it grown? Is it? I'm assuming part of it might have been, the ice rink. Maybe the logistics were a little bit different for you, but part of it was you're growing every year. So do you seem to have a lot more vendors and a lot more people on that end of it coming this year too?
We do. So with the ice rink, I think it was something like 16,000 square feet. And so the new venue, the Naugatuck Event Center, is 80,000 square feet. So it's a huge venue. So we've added a bunch more vendors, but still what we're doing is we don't want to have like, we don't want to have like 10 people selling T-shirts. We never want to, I guess authors is the only exception, just because there's many, different kinds of books, but we never really want to cross it out. So we're never going to have like 2 T-shirt vendors next to each other or something. Like, we want to try to make it, not a lot of, even though it's kind of tough, not a lot of the same competition for people and not a lot of overlap when it comes to that. And so
it's a balancing act, and it's not easy. So I applaud you guys for doing what you do.
Yeah. Do you guys do like everything in terms of like logistics, or do you? They're both nodding.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do. I have like this maniacal spreadsheet in the basement of where people are going to be sitting and breaking it up and everything. So it was pretty interesting this year. It's always tough when you move to a new space. Yeah. This place is a little weird because it's not just an open floor. There's like poles in there.
I went there for a car show for work a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's big.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of weird. You see how the poles could affect things, and they're not just like their little poles, like these huge.
No, they were pretty big. I do remember that.
So, that was interesting. So, this is, every year we try to get better. I'm sure there's going to be some things we need to think about this year, because you can't really, you could visualize it in your head, but until it's set up that day, you can't really get a good sight of what's happening. So we'll see what happens. So we think it's going to be good. We're excited for the day.
Now, when the show ends, like September 15th, and hopefully you celebrate your anniversary that day at the very least, maybe take a day off. Do you guys take like some time, or do you start immediately already thinking about next year's CT Horrorfest?
I'm thinking about next year right now.
You're thinking about next year already right now.
We were just at the Outback and talking about next year.
Yeah. So it's
You
funny.
didn't even enjoy your blooming onion, did you?
No.
No.
So
I knew
the
it.
next weekend, the very next weekend, we have our staff over for like a wrap up of the show.
What could we do better?
Tell some funny stories. Maybe there's things, because there's always something crazy going on at the show that not everybody knew about or something. So we tell that, and then we start immediately then. Like we'll have like a thank you dinner for them, and then we start talking about, all right, who can we bring in next year? Like what's going on next year? You know, who do you think would be cool that hasn't been around the area, or that, you know, maybe there's some kind of reunion coming up that we could capitalize on and get together. And so that's immediately, it's like, you know, I know it's one day, but we kind of plan all year for it. And I think because we start planning early and our staff is so good at like coming up with suggestions and helping out on the day, I think that's kind of like takes a lot of pressure off of us, but it also makes it a lot of fun because we know it's not just like, you know, Christine and I's idea of, okay, we're going to bring this people and it's our horror convention. We hear from our whole staff, and we throw around ideas, and we get a lot of like really valued opinions from horror, you know, people that love horror just like us on our staff. So,
And we do, like last year we actually did a survey. We got 200 responses back, which was amazing.
Wow.
So we asked questions like, who do you want to see? What's the most you'll pay for a picture and autograph?
I think I took that survey. I think I did.
So we do listen to that. And one thing, you know, because we're married, we do need those other opinions so we're not in the bubble.
Right.
So we need people outside of the bubble. And like Rob says, we're not delusional. We know the day doesn't happen because of me and Rob. We know we have a really good crew with us. Like you guys know Larry, you know, Sean, you know, I mean the whole crew we have. Colleen runs the front table, her and Kyle and the whole crew up there. Like our staff is really reliable. We can trust them. A lot of them have been with us for, how long have Larry and Sean been with us? Like 8 years?
yeah, I think so.
7 years.
Yeah.
We
learned that last
podcasted
night.
with Sean last night. He gave us the whole history.
Yeah. And I know his older sister Colleen. We've been friends since we're like 13
High school.
years old.
Yeah, no, he told us that.
And you went to school with Nick as
I
well.
went to school with Nick. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've known
so-
Nick Banks since I was, I think, 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah, I think he told us that when we talked to him
we held-
like last year.
Yeah, we held our first job. So, like, you know, even like he and John, like we can trust these people to act in a certain way. You
Right.
know, it's not just like a random sign-up sheet of volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
When you don't know what's going on.
All right.
They
Yeah.
can handle some, you know, if anything crazy happens, or you know, someone wants a pizza
crazy.
or gluten-free burger or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gluten-free burgers.
There
Yeah.
was one year somebody needed some, I don't know,
Beer.
some special food, and Larry ended up
Beer.
paying $30 for some kind of special hamburger somewhere.
Boy.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Sounds like a choose your own adventure book. Larry Dwyer and the special hamburger.
Grass-fed only beef.
Yeah. All right, so we are here with Rob and Christine. Go to horrornewsnetwork.net, and you can go to the Connecticut Horrorfest link, and you could, you know, we can't tell you you're going to buy your tickets or anything, but we can tell you can definitely peruse it, and it's very affordable.
We can tell you you'll enjoy it.
You'll enjoy it, and we will be there, and they will be there, and you can say hi, and you can tell them, get Jamie Lee Curtis.
And there's literally like maybe 3 VIP breakfast tickets left. Okay, the VIP breakfast is it's a continental breakfast with the cast of Saw. So you get continental breakfast. You get a picture and an autograph with Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, Sean Patrick Flannery. They come in. It's kind of like a private meet and greet.
Yeah.
Right.
You also get reserved seating in the panel room, which I know last year we had a problem because the panel rooms fill up.
Yep.
Towards the end of the day, so you get preferred seating there. You also get a very sweet swag bag, and this year Matt Wilson has helped us with our year 666 swag, which I brought some pins for
Yes,
the three
thank
of you.
you.
But there's like going to be a mug. There's also going to be a bag. You get a whole bunch of like, you know, free cool stuff in the swag bag. Plus you get the photo op with the breakfast. It's an hour before, so it's a really cool thing. We've done it, like we did it with the cast of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We did it with, we did it last year with the Halloween cast. We did it with George Romero years ago too.
Wow.
Breakfast with George Romero.
Hurry up, fans. The tickets
What
are
is it?
running out.
What is a continental breakfast with the cast of Saw? Like, you pick that banana. That banana is filled with cyanide.
You have 2 minutes.
You have 2 minutes to cut your stomach open and get rid of that banana.
We have
And before we get into this next half hour with Rob and Christine from HorrorNewsNetwork.net, I think Christine has something she'd like to say that she's done so many times before for us. Christine, please.
The views expressed on this program are the views of the individual broadcaster and do not necessarily reflect the view of Wesleyan University or the WESU management. This program may contain material not suitable for children or sensitive listeners. If you are offended by profanity, please tune out now. If you have questions about WESU indecency and obscenity policy, please contact our board of directors at 860-685-7703.
They'll likely answer.
Yeah, they probably will. You have a very soothing radio voice. Very,
It's not
very.
my Mrs. Costanza. Rob hates my George Costanza's mother's voice.
Do you start yelling? Is it like that shrill? Like,
Georgie!
yeah.
Open the door! My son's using his body like an amusement park!
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
By the way, I freaking love G.I. Joe.
Are you a big? Yeah, well, 80s,
Oh man,
right?
80s.
Yeah,
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got,
man.
we got. I could, the hand washing thing I can't find, but just
Yeah, because who can find anything in that file you built?
it really isn't that hard. It's all alphabetical. But
Yeah,
but Rob, just real
sure.
quick, if you enjoy that one,
Uh-huh.
Hi, doggy. Nice doggy. Here, boy. Come on. Hi, fella. Hey,
Don't run.
Mutt.
Walk away slowly.
He tried to bite me.
Never try to pet an animal you don't know. He may be lost, sick, or scared.
You mean he might be dangerous?
That's right. If we don't know, we leave him alone.
And we don't get bit. Now I know.
And no one is half the battle.
I'm going to assume that Rob has never been bit by a dog
Man,
because
I
he
have.
watched the.
A cat.
I've been bit by a dog in the
Who?
The what?
But
Am I allowed to say that word?
You can ask. I think
I've
okay.
said
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Now, was it before or after you watched the what was it?
This was- this was-
Filmation or what was it, Sunbow?
What?
With the G.I. Joe show. Was that Sunbow animation?
Partly, yeah.
Yeah. Was it before you heard Mutt say that or?
Exactly.
Yeah,
This was
okay.
long before.
Yeah, so
long
if you had
before
listened
that.
and you
I
realized that
would've- I
dog
would've
was
loved
stiff
that dog.
tempter,
Yeah.
you never would have touched him.
No, not a chance.
The next important thing, Halloween in a box.
Yeah.
So why don't we get right into that? What is
Okay.
that?
Well, Halloween in a box is something that I created because I just simply, growing up, I wore a ton of Ben Cooper costumes, and his really the plastic masks in my era, in the 80s, like the vinyl swooshy smocks. So I absolutely loved those things growing up. I mean, there were years when I was Godzilla, I was the Wolfman, I was a ton of different things. And, looking back on photos of kids in their costumes, nothing to me is more spooky or more cool looking than seeing kids in those crappy costumes from back then. So
Especially the older ones from like the black and white
yeah,
pictures.
I mean, so this documentary basically tells the story of these three companies: Ben Cooper, Collegeville, and Helco. And these are, three companies which were fierce competitors. It was all about, licensing, where Cooper would get Star Wars and Collegeville would get Star Trek, and so it would kind of go back and forth with licensing. And this story, it basically tells the story of each of the companies and the licenses they were able to get. And in the early 80s, I'm not sure if you guys recall this, but it was basically billed as the first domestic terrorist act in the United States, and that was the Tylenol crisis. And so this film tells the story of how those companies kind of came together to form a public relations campaign in the face of what was going on in the United States with the Tylenol incident.
To save Halloween.
Yeah, basically what they did is they got together and formed this PR campaign, to save Halloween, because parents weren't sending their kids out for trick or treating, because sometimes they were scared that people would put Tylenol in with the trick or treat candy, and the case still remains unsolved as to who poisoned this Tylenol from all the way back in 1982. So there was a chance that was going to cancel Halloween forever. Matter of fact, many towns canceled Halloween that year. And so, if you could imagine having a business which relies on people buying Halloween costumes, if they would just cancel Halloween, you'd be, ruined. So it's basically, it's a pretty cool story. It tells, about these three companies, how they were battling each other, then they actually had to come together in order to save the holiday. So it was pretty cool. I got a lot of, I met like a lot of really cool people. Like I found the presidents of each of those three companies, which is really difficult because they're all in like their 80s or above now. So
Yeah.
it's like, that was the biggest challenge, finding them and, getting them to tell their story. Because I found there was I guess a lot of these companies ended, with kind of bankruptcy or stuff. It wasn't like a great ending for all of them. So, in order to get them to tell their story, we kind of, I had to kind of tell them what a big fan I was of the products they put out. And so finally they opened up, and I think we put together a really cool thing. I'm excited for people to see it.
And the narrator is Nick Banks.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, really?
Nick.
Yeah,
He's like our Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I think I remember Nick telling us that when we podcasted him the last time that
Really?
he was either going to start working on it with you guys or
Oh, that's cool. Now, you had somebody from Ben Cooper at Connecticut Horrorfest last year.
Frank Romano. He's like
94
90. Yeah,
years
he's
old.
94.
Wow.
I mean, and this guy is. I mean, he's absolutely amazing. I hope if I'm lucky enough to make it that age, I'm half in the shape that this guy's in. I mean,
He's a World War II veteran, too.
this guy is unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, every time I see him, he looks better than the last time I saw him.
the picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh my God! Yeah, and I mean the stuff he's still creating, the artwork. We were lucky enough to go to his son's house, and this guy, what I knew of him was he did the art for the Ben Cooper costumes, like the Star Wars and all that. But when we went to his house, his son's house, oh my God!
There's wood carvings, you see it's really cool art that created the masks, and even if you've seen him at Horrorfest, you see the artwork. But some of it, even the wood carvings and more it's very detailed oil paintings that he's done. I mean, he's an incredible artist, and I think he's appeared at another convention in our area too. But Rob and I are just God, for a 90-something-year-old man to have this renaissance in his 90s, good for him. We love to see that. We love to see him. We saw him at another event, and we're yes.
Yeah,
Is he fairly local?
He actually lives in Detroit.
Really?
His son.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, this guy's flying. His wife is still alive, and it's so.
Good for
I mean,
them.
yeah. I mean, he's such a nice guy, and I'm hoping to get him out for the premiere on October 4th in Naugatuck Event Center for Halloween in a Box.
We'll have to go to that.
Yeah.
It's I mean, he's such a great guy, and I'm so happy to have met him, and he's just so appreciative that fans are I guess he never knew about conventions,
Yeah.
and he's so happy to kind of meet people and show his artwork. And I know at Horrorfest some people brought the actual costumes they had from back in the 80s, and
He had no
pretty
idea
cool.
people
Yeah.
that it was such a collector's item and it was such a thing for people. He had no idea.
What was the company now? I almost feel like we talked about this on one of the last shows you guys were on, because we were talking about, I think, the early idea of this documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Ben Cooper stuff. I remember the plastic masks and the smocks, He-Man and all that stuff. What was the company that had they were almost like balloon, blow up balloon?
I had one of those.
You know what I'm
Yes,
talking
I know what
about.
you're talking about. I sweated in it. I only wore.
You know how you have those memories that you feel like
you wanna
other
make
people
it-
don't know, and you feel like it's in your head only? When you said that, I got really excited. So what was that?
Can you describe these a little bit better for the rest of us?
It was almost like a plastic outfit, but then instead of a mask, it latched around your chin.
Absolutely.
And then there was a blow up thing, and I just remember my mom made me go to church, and it was I wore it to church one day.
Yeah.
And I wore this big
So
yellow blow-up
instead of one of those cutout masks with the eyes, it was almost like a
balloon.
blow up balloon helmet. And I don't know if I ever even had one, but I remember, being a child of the 80s, friends having them.
jeez, I don't even remember them.
So
Yeah.
you do. I'm so glad.
And I
All
wore
right, so
mine to church.
we're at 50-50 right
Yeah,
here, because I have
man.
no I
Who
have
found it?
no
Yes.
recollection of
It
this at
is
all.
Kooky Spooks giant blow up costume kit.
Jeez.
I don't know if there is a
It's a
brand
scary
designed
looking kid.
by. Hold on, designed by. Oh yeah, you can't read that. Yeah. Well, it's as seen on TV and designed by Satan. Yeah, the dark one. So
Wow.
thank you, Lou.
That's-
Thank you so much.
No, never saw that.
Never saw one.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I worked at a Woolworths.
Wow, you did?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was my first paying job.
I'm trying to imagine the Ben Cooper
there were
costumes you
plenty
had
of Ben
at a
Cooper.
Woolworths.
Oh, we had a whole row of them. Yeah, like an entire aisle that you'd have to fill
Was there
up.
one that just wouldn't sell? You just you had all the Han Solos were gone. Just there was a bunch of Chewbacca's.
I don't remember yesterday. How am I supposed to remember that?
So you said that this is going to be part of the Spooky October. It's actually one of the first, if not the
It's
first
the
thing you're
first
doing.
thing.
Right.
October
Oh, really?
4th.
Cool.
what is the plan after that with this? Is it something you're trying to get out kind of into theaters?
It was actually picked up by Indie Rights, and it's going to be released on streaming platforms come October 1st. So,
okay.
Amazon, iTunes, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited to get it out there and have people see it. And I really want Frank Romano. I sent him an early copy of it. I really want to watch it. I want to see his reaction to it, basically. That's he's 95, so I really want him to. I want to see him with it. I want October 4th to be there. Yeah. I want him to be in the audience, and I want to because this film he brought happiness to so many kids creating, especially with the Star Wars all the designs he did, and I think it's going to be cool to have people appreciate him and kind of see this film, something that he helped build so much. So.
Yeah, he's essentially the guy behind it, who, as opposed to like a comic book like Stan Lee or somebody, you don't know who this guy is.
Right.
So there's this whole level of appreciation that has never really been given to this guy. Right. That this movie is going to help kind of shine light. That's awesome. Now, do you find yourself, like you said, you were a fan when you were a kid? And I'm assuming, did you save any of your stuff? And most kids didn't save.
What? Unfortunately, I didn't save it, but I did pick up some older costumes like on eBay and stuff.
That was the question I was going to have. Did this movie kind of ignite you to suddenly become like the guy going to flea markets, going, "Oh my God, they've got like Skeletor. It's in the original box."
I try not to. We were going to move not too long ago, so I try not to amass too many things.
Yeah.
But I do have a few. Yeah, I have a Vader. I have a Wolfman, Universal Monsters. I think I also grabbed an E.T. because there's a really interesting story about E.T. That the film talks about how it got licensed. So it's pretty cool. It tells a lot of interesting stories, like of like Star Wars, especially. Like it was almost a huge missed opportunity. There's some cool stories about the Ninja Turtles licensing and
what is it? Ask Hasbro about Star Wars was it Hasbro who turned them down for the figures?
Yeah.
And then Kenner
jumped in there and was like, whatever, we'll do it. Yeah.
Rob, are you going to have your own table at the Connecticut Horror Fest?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to man it. But actually, we're hoping to get Frank Romano up there, too.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we're hoping to get him up here. I'm talking with his son now about him flying out. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, his stuff was, he's even has more stuff than, he was last year.
Drew more. He created more art.
I saw some pretty cool She-Hulk thing he had. And so he has a lot of like new kind of take on the old superhero stuff that he did. And so, yeah, he has a lot of awesome stuff. So whenever I see him, it's just like, boom, take my wallet. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I can't wait to see this movie because like now that you said the E.T. thing, now I'm just picturing there's like in Arizona, there's a giant hole with a bunch of Ben Cooper E.T. Costumes in it, like the video game. You know the thing about the video game?
Yeah,
I'm picturing the forklift is just lifting them out going, nobody wanted them. After 1982, nobody cared anymore.
Oh, man.
So October 4th, that's coming out. October 1st is streaming.
Right.
But if you want to check out, now is that something? Are tickets available on the website as well for the premiere?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Spooky October.
All right.
.com.
So that's a lot of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, we're busy. We
do
try
me
to
a favor.
keep busy.
Take November off. All right.
I hope.
Yeah.